Hi and welcome to this Key Learning Initiative video. Today's topic is finance and we're working with the compound interest formula. Before we get going, please remember to subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and to like and share this video. Also, if you have some topics that you want me to cover, please just drop me a message in the comments section and I'll see what I can do. But let's get going with today's topic. So our formula that we're going to be using, A equals P 1 plus I all to the power of n, and that is my compound interest formula. But let's look at what the letters actually mean. So my A is the total accrued amount, the principal plus the interest, or it's the finishing amount. After you've done everything, that's what it equals to. The second letter, P, is the principal amount or the starting amount. Before I added any interest or anything, what did it start at? What value was it? The third letter, I, is the interest rate. Remember, we always change it to a decimal when we're using our formula. And lastly, n, the number of compounds. Now in this video we're compounding per annum, which means per year. But you can use this formula to compound per month or even per day. But in this video, as I said, we're just compounding per year. So let's look at a few examples. Example 1. Steph borrows $35,600 to buy a car. The bank charges 6.5% compound interest per year. If Steph pays back the money after 9 years in a lump sum, calculate the amount Steph will have to pay back. Now, there's a way we set things up. If you've watched my video on simple interest, you'll be familiar with it. You don't have to watch that video, but it might help a bit. Anyway, let's carry on. So, we write down the 4 letters that I'm going to need in my formula. What we do is we look for 3 of them, and then we work out the 4th one. So, our first letter, A. Remember, A is the finishing amount. And here, this is what they want. They want us to calculate the amount Steph will have to pay back after everything. And so A is what we're looking for. P, our starting amount. Well, right at the beginning of the example, Jeff borrows $35,600. And so that is our P. Then our interest rate, it says the bank charges 6.5%, and so our interest rate is 6.5%. We write it down and straight away we change it to a decimal. So 6.5% equals 0.065. The last thing we look for is the n. And if we read, it says, if Steph pays back the money after 9 years. Okay, and so my n is equal to 9. Brilliant. I've got 3 of my values, and I need to find the 4th one. Let's have a look at our formula. A equals P 1 plus I all to the power of n. Well, A is what I'm looking for. My P is 35,600, open brackets, 1 plus my interest rate as a decimal, not a percentage, so 0.065, then close brackets, and then my number of compounds, or in this case, the number of years is 9. So I can put that all in my calculator, press equals, and I get A equals 62,747 $1.51. And that's example 1, when I'm looking for the final amount. Example 2. Lindy borrows some money from the bank. After 4 years, she has to pay 12,500 Rand back. If the bank charges 18% compound interest per year, how much did she borrow? Again, our setout or our layout is always the same. We write down our 4 letters, A, P, I, and N. And now we go searching for 3 of the 4 values. So, A is our final amount. So let's read. Lindy borrows some money. After 4 years, she has to pay 12,500 back. So after everything, she has to pay 12,500. Alright, and so my finishing amount is 12,500. Now my P, my starting amount. Well, right at the end of the question it says, how much did she borrow? So how much did she start off borrowing? So P is what we're looking for. My I, or my interest rate, if we look on the second line, if the bank charges 18%, alright, so my I is 18%. Straight away we write that as a decimal, which means we get 0.18. Lastly, our N. Well, how many years? If we look at the top right hand side, after 4 years. Okay, and so N is equal to 4. Brilliant. We've got 3 out of 4 values and we want the 4th one. Let's write down our compound interest formula. A equals P 1 plus I all to the power of N. So my A is 12,500. That equals, my P is what I want, so I just write down the letter P. Then open brackets, 1 plus my interest rate is 0.18. Remember, it's as a decimal. Close brackets, and then my N is 4. Alright, so next step. 12,500 equals P, and now we take 1 plus 0.18 all to the power of 4, we put it in our calculator and we press equals, and we get 1.938, etc, etc, etc. Next step. We don't want P times 1.938, we just want P by itself, and so we divide both sides by 1.938. We put that in our calculator, and 12,500 divided by 1.938, etc, etc, gives us 6,447.36, and that equals P. So Lindy borrowed 6,447 Rand and 36 cents, and after 4 years she had to pay back 12,500. And that's example 2. Let's look at example 3. Tom invests 3,000 Rand into a bank account, paying annual compound interest. After 3 years, he gets a lump sum of 4,500. What interest rate did Tom get from the bank? So, again, our start off is the same. A equals, P equals, I equals, and N equals. Now we look for 3 out of the 4. So, my A, remember, finishing amount. towards the end of the question, it says after 3 years he gets a lump sum of 4,500. So after everything he gets 4,500, and so that is my finishing amount. My starting amount, well, right at the beginning, Tom invests 3,000. So that's what we started with, was the 3,000. And so P equals 3,000. Now I, your interest rate. Well, the question towards the end says, what interest rate did Tom get from the bank? So I is what we're looking for. And lastly, N, we want to know how long. Well, in the second line it says there, after 3 years. Okay, and so N is equal to 3. Brilliant. We've got 3 out of our 4 letters, and we're looking for the 4th one. Let's write down our compound interest formula. So A equals P1 plus I all to the power of N. Now we fill in the values in place of the numbers. So my A is 4,500 equals, my P is 3,000, then open brackets, 1 plus, my interest rate is what we're looking for, and so we just leave it as an I, close bracket, and it's all to the power of 3. Excellent. Now we have to solve for I, and we have to do quite a few steps to do this, so watch carefully. My first thing that I have to do is to get rid of the 3,000 Rand in front of the bracket. And so what I do is I divide both sides by 3,000. 4,500 divided by 3,000 gives me 1,5, and that equals, open brackets, 1 plus I, close brackets, all to the power of 3. So what I've done is divided through by 3,000, and so on the right hand side I've just got my bracket to the power of 3. Now I don't want the bracket to the power of 3, I just want the bracket by itself, and so what I have to do is take the cube root of each side. Because it's 1 plus I all to the power of 3, I take the cube root. If it was 1 plus I to the power 7, I'd take the 7th root, but it's to the power of 3, and so I take the cube root. So in my calculator I put the cube root of 1,5, I press equals, and I get 1,14471, etc., etc. That equals 1 plus I. Have a quick look, see what I'm doing. Now I want to get I by itself, and so I have to get rid of that 1 on the right hand side. To do that I have to subtract 1 from both sides, and let's get a little bit of space. So 1,14471 minus 1 gives me 0,14471 ... and that equals I. Now many times I get asked, why do we have so many decimal places? And when we're working with I, it's very important. Remember, this is I as a decimal. When you get asked for the interest rate, we have to change it to a percentage. Hopefully you can remember, when we change a decimal to a percentage, we times by 100. And so 0,14471, we times that by 100, and we get 14.47%, and that is our interest rate. That's example 3. Now, the only thing we haven't looked for is n. We haven't found the time period. But to do that is something we don't need to do at the moment. Very important. We don't need to solve for n or try and determine the number of compounds for compound interest at this stage. To do this, you require logs, which we haven't covered. Logs is a concept that we deal with. It's to deal with exponents, but don't stress about that now. Okay, so you will never get asked to solve for n with compound interest. And I hope that is clear. And so, thank you for watching this Key Learning Initiative video on finance, specifically compound interest formula. If you haven't, please subscribe to my channel. Please remember to like and to share this video so more and more people can watch it. Also, your comments are welcome, and do remember, if you have any topics you want me to cover, please write them in the comment section. I hope this video has been helpful.